Hello, everyone. I'm Jami Cassady, aka Joni Moriarty, aka Gabby Pomeroy. Um, I am not a poet. I'm just going to read you some stories of Jack, if that's okay. I knew Jack Kerouac from 1950, my birth, to 1969, his death. As a young child in San Francisco, where I was born, then in San Jose, and finally our home in Los Gatos, he was an often and beloved visitor. Since my parents, Neal and Carolyn Cassady, felt we three children, Kathy, John, and myself, did not need to know all the grown-up things that they and their friends, Jack, Allen Ginsberg, etc., were up to. So I never knew who these friends were, famous wise, until I was 14. So my relationship with Jack Kerouac was of a childish love. As often noted, I was Jack's favorite. I'm not being modest about that. In San Francisco, I remember Jack walking Kathy and I down the street from 29 Russell to get ice cream cones and pick wildflowers for Mom on the way home. In San Jose, Jack and Dad would lean over our back fence to watch the local high school. Their field was right over our fence, play baseball and football. In Los Gatos, Jack would take his sleeping bag, his railroad lantern, and his forever present notebook and sleep in our backyard under what we call Jack's tree. And here's a picture of it. This was in our backyard in Los Gatos. I'm going to read what Jack wrote in Desolation Angels, published in 1965, page 232. 232. There you are. Okay. He says, I wake up to the delicious little voices of two little girls and a little boy. Wake up, Jack, breakfast is ready. They sort of chant, breakfast is ready, because they've been told to. But then they explore around my bushes a minute, then leave, and I get up and leave my pack right there in the straw grass of autumn and go into the house to wash up. Evelyn is all radiant blonde in the morning. We grin at each other and talk. She'll say, why didn't you sleep on the couch? And I'll say, oh, I love to sleep out in that yard. I always get such good dreams. She says, well, it's nice to have people who have good dreams nowadays. She brings me my coffee. Let's see. Over the years, we saw Jack less and less. He would call Mom in Los Gatos, drunk from the East Coast late at night. He still loved Mom and professed it often on the phone. Mom was sweet but firm with him. Just like when Kennedy was shot, I'll never forget how I heard about Jack's death. I had been living in New York to study at the American Ballet Theater and was dressing to go out to eat. With my leg raised to put on my pantyhose, back then, the radio announced that Jack Kerouac had died. I have been blessed to have known Jack and have such memories. Thank you for this opportunity to remember on this day, Uncle Jack's 100th birthday.
Go for it.
I'm David Amram. I live in Beacon, New York. At the moment, I'm in Los Angeles. I wish I was here with Debbie and all of you in the beautiful place in Connecticut. I met Jack in 1956 at a bring your own bottle party. I saw this guy who looked like a French Canadian lumberjack wearing a black and red kind of a wool jacket. He came up to me, handed me a piece of paper and said, play with me. Then he took the paper back before I could read what he was either reading or making up. I never knew. In fact, I didn't even know his name. And I closed my eyes. I had some penny whistles and my horn with me. There was no piano there. And as soon as we began to do stuff together, I suddenly felt that connection that I did when I played with Thelonious Monk and Dizzy Gillespie. and later on with Sir James Galway and great classical folk musicians from around the world, just that connection. And then he ran off with some beautiful young woman that he met and was dancing. We were all flirting and having a good time. And we kept bumping into each other. Finally, he told me his name was Jack Kerouac. He was from Lowell, Massachusetts. And over a period of time of just playing with one another at Bring Your Own Bottle parties, we found out that he spoke French at home, which I did. I'd been a gym teacher when I was going to college, and he was a football player. He was just a wonderful, warm person, and he loved classical music. Bach was his favorite composer, and he loved Charlie Parker, and he saw the relationship of symphony music and jazz, and all music's built to last, and everything in literature from Aeschylus and Beowulf, which he could read and understand and do from memory, Charles Dickens, Emily Bronte, Shakespeare, and the way people spoke on the street. He saw the beauty that surrounded us. He was just a great, inclusive, wonderful person. And since he was a devout Catholic, he also mentioned that he felt that Buddhism was the most Christ-like way to behave. The fact that he was so spiritual and so warm and so real, naturally the Eastern Seaboard establishment just thought he was some kind of an oaf, even after he became world famous. And at that point, I was at some party, and suddenly he was a world famous figure after being a 35-year-old, unemployed, unappreciated person. And the guy said to me, "If he's so great, how come he's talking to me?" So I realized you can't always win, but he really believed in the St. Francis way of life and always found the most insecure person in the room and hung out with them. And we became friends for life. So I wrote this at the very end of my book, Offbeat Collaborating with Kerouac, which hopefully will encourage all of you who are appreciating his books and reading about him to bypass the mythological, revolting presentation of him as the king of the beast generation, God help us, but rather a wonderful person, a wonderful writer who still inspires young people today whose parents weren't born when he passed away, for all of you to be creative and to use your gifts and celebrate the beauty that surrounds you, regardless of the horrors that we all face in life. This is what I wrote, and I hope that this will be something that you can appreciate. Sometimes when I'm composing, I spend a whole day writing and rewriting one measure of music just to get it right. My orchestral scores are impeccable. I spend most of my commission money having the parts copied and recopied with every tiny nuance, tempo change, metronome marking, dynamic, and phrase clearly indicated. But the music, the breathing, living, human, mystical, mysterious part comes naturally. That naturalness is what Jack and I always had when we performed together. When we wrote alone, we created formal works, his books and my symphonies, which were inspired by the natural energy of these real life experiences. When we dared to improvise, we were like tightrope walkers. We wanted to create formal works built to last that retained this same energy. That's what we were all about. This was the basis of our friendship and our work together. When I go to high schools, colleges, or any place where there are young people today, they all know who Jack Kerouac is. Some of them tell me that he was the king of the beatniks. They tell me More importantly, that they read his books. That is Jack's ultimate triumph. His work speaks for itself. Up until the very end, through all the pain and the rejection, he continued to write. When I talked to him on the phone in those last sad months, in late night, early morning phone calls, he still spoke of the work he had to do and the dreams that he wished to fulfill. I feel blessed and lucky to still be here at 91. I try every day to share the joy of seeing my own dreams finally coming true. I also try every day in some small way to share that gift of Jack and his spirit, his energy and human kindness with everyone I meet. Jack's work can enable future generations to look back at the second half of the 20th century and see the beauty part. When Jack and I used to talk about his dreams and desire to find a life based on his Canadian Indian heritage, I reminded him of the Navajo prayer of the 12th night, how the men and women prayed as they walked on the trail of beauty. I sang him some of the old songs that I'd learned from Native American musicians. Jack and I both prayed in different languages, but the trail of beauty remained the same. Many of us walked and still walk on that trail today. It is accessible to anyone, and it is endless. If you stand tall as Jack did throughout his life and walk that trail of beauty, you will surely meet him there someday. That's what I wrote in my book, Offbeat, collaborating with Kerouac. And I wanted to leave that with all of you. I want to thank Debbie for her wonderful work in bringing poets together, and the nicest poetry readings I ever went to were her little place in Connecticut, where everyone supported everyone else. No one went overtime and encouraged one another. And for all of you who are watching, remember that this is something that can inspire you to exercise your creativity. We're all born with creative people until we're talked out of it. So have respect for those who tell you it's a waste of time, because perhaps they never learned to sing and dance, and perhaps someday they will. Hopefully their children and grandchildren will. So we just have to keep on keeping on. And for those of you who read On the Road, since Carolyn Cassady is here, the book was about Jack and Neal. Everyone else were characters who were certainly wonderful people who were lucky enough to be on that gravy train. Thank you.
I love you, David. I love you.
Thanks, David.
Oh man, I have to follow David Amram. Nice to see you, David. My name's Chryssa Vannoy. I was a Beat Poet Laureate of California in 2018 and the Beat Poet Laureate of the United States in 2019. This is called What is Beat? He asked me what beat was, so I told him, beat is not a what, beat is an it. It's jazz blues crying out on a night of movie stars over a city that never sleeps. It's a struggle of hard bones and empty bottles. It's dreams left sleeping by the click-clack railroad tracks, and dreams waking on the beach with the taste of last night's drunk still in your mouth. It's calling out your lover's name so loud that it shakes the sky to brightness, then moves through the day with fierce determination. It's living present and feeling their perception that there will not be another day like this ever. It's balancing feathers and driving around the world with the stereo blasting through the interstellar air, its blades spinning through the psychedelic movements of wind, powering the lights at the end of the world. Beat is when someone takes all you have, then disappears into a fog of missing possibilities and leaves you there crying at a table set for one. Beat is when you don't care anymore that you are beat, and you just lean forward and listen to the flapping of his shoes on the hot asphalt of a slow boiling summer day. Beat is yow, man. Beat is yow, man. Beat is yow, man. Cool, cool, cool. It's beat children struggling to save a beat planet from plastic bags rolling in a radiated sea. Beat is beat down. Beat is beat up. Beat is life, baby. It eats into you like a hungry worm, breaks over you in spent notes like a musician pinch-lipped horn, then wraps around you like a hot, smooth woman on a cool, warm night. Beat is a long, slow cry of distant train whistles in the middle of a long, dark dream. It's tapping shoes and nodding heads and wild screams when you can't contain the joy that's inside you. It moves your feet, propels you across the floor and throws you into the arms of a pretty girl. When the musician on stage is smiling because he feels it too, so he starts pounding the piano so hard that the drums flying out through the electric air. The drummer taps his hi-hat, unexplored possibilities. Beat is finding the rhythm in the poem. Beat is life, man. Beat is life. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Tish Ince. I'm a poet. I'm originally from London, lived in Gloucestershire, and moved to San Francisco. And I'm married to Dane Ince, big poet here. I'm greatly honoured to be asked to attend this event and to perform. So this poem I wrote in the early hours of the morning last night, or this morning, sorry. And this is called Beats on San Francisco Streets. We walk across these beat streets, find all-in-one bagels on Town's End at 7 a.m., drink mocha and finger-lick cream cheese, sitting on concrete walls by office windows. Opposite bricks red are keystoned, while trucks park and drop their loads, watching early morning designers bring clothes on hangers over their shoulders, iron up the homeless look we throw. We got 2-day bed hair, shoulder length. I'm trying to finger comb, knowing we got washing up in a sink when we get home, but I'm tempting the jaywalk boots in me to start back along another beat street. These silent roads, peppered with the bent, walking street sleepers, street walking, bin checking, eyes low, hope lower, yet these sun rays are early morning sun, and would eat these words and cheese, watch how others walk on by. Would he bend with, tip his slouch hat? Would he have his coffee white, flat, tend the suffering loose like that? Would he sit, be happy to commute, commune, sip whiskey in a bar, chat with bartenders, these homeless or royalty with the same regards? Did he find himself shut out or dig the alternative dudes, or the way he spoke with those having less? The boy, the man, feeling the come eat mother memories, realized through these words, soul and food, in his recognition of the poor and oppressed. I am in lesser threads, treading beat streets, leather-worn soles, politic rising in my belly, South Beach, North Beach, and alleys lighter weights to darker nights, cold falling on, perfumed back to bed breast. Would Kerouac see all this now? Would he raise a glass to the freeway, Bay Bridge, the fog the street sleepers have for their misty pillowed heads? 100 sun rays on his 100 years, unbend, raise their eyes and say, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be part of this 100th birthday celebration. I have 2 poems, 12-bar blues and Good Garden. But first I'd like to read just something that Kerouac said from his guide for better writing. Write what you want, bottomless, from the bottom of your mind. Don't think of words when you stop, but see the picture better. Accept loss forever. Believe in the holy contour of life. Blow as deep as you want to blow. 12-bar blues. Who needs the ruptured placental hemorrhage baked dry, blown away? Feathers clean off the Nevada summer desert blacktop highway. Mirage shimmer in the distant heat. Hate like no other mother, daughter. My jokes and carnival hat. No match, no soother, no cigarette. Backbeat 12-bar blues. This shit just got real. Spread your legs. Angel chariot wing wide, we fly at night on moonlight dreams. Do you feel the chigger bites, crickets, lightning bugs, the bourbon burn, capital punishment when you stood instead of sat down? The method of punishment for you talking right out loud when you knew you should have been quiet. The ordained death comes for your good intentions to padlock your Sisyphean heart. Eventually, exhaustion and asphyxiation, like famine babies born of men on thrones whose petrified, perfect eyes without blinking, no tears float. The tin cup armada laying siege to El Moro, the tattooed crucifixion just a long ago sting. The death of a criminal just like you outside the wall. The sobs are silent. The dust blows over like universal joke pulled just on you. Up there, burning, bleeding, lost language. No one can read. No one is laughing. We've seen this unfunny too many times. Too many times. Hear the weary, warble, tumbleweed, sand. Good garden. Before the flood on the river Styx burned everything to the ground, when I was sleeping on a bed of fresh hay, before the dark day was bright as noon, black, I never noticed. All the same, the before, the after, the beginning, the end, no line between sleeping, waking, painless, joyless, for lack of appreciation of the dark side of the rainbow, where I find myself lost. I see you shining out my temporary cottage window beyond distant mountain, forest, pines. Whistle, sing me out to play out of my dark house, painted pane between ultraviolet and infrared, tip-top dance on stars. This is a good garden, grown by you. I can live here a while, knowing what I know now. Peace, you, warm on my face, sunshine, wisdom, bodhisattva, bodhi sunshine. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Jack's birthday, coming from Los Angeles, California. Originally from Massachusetts, I'm Matthew Bowers. I just want to read to you, hey, Jack, where you at? Jack? Oh, Jack. His voice was smooth with heavy texture. He talked like he was lost, yet knew about the world. His manner, loose, held back with refrain, a melody of velvet sandpaper fell like rain from his lips, shaking, making the earth still quaking to the sounds, doing rounds, up and downs, never faking the lost, hopeless, the cost of tomorrows, the sorrows that inevitably came and went. Was it natural, casual, casualty, remiss that makes the potential genesis reform dismissed? It's loud, man, heavy like thunder, echoing from the dogs and stooges down under. I watched the gas ball fired juggernaut slowly lift into the aether sky above the horizon. There's a gonzo marching band going boom, boom, boom down Hollywood and Wilcox Boulevards. Shaman of shaman reciting lectures in my head. Practice repentance of things I swear I never did or said before voyeurs, destroyers, out for money and fame. Mr. Kerouac, Jack, can't you see? We've returned to Babylon, erecting that tower again. way, way, way up to the stars, that far. No semblance of the democratic experiment, and people lost on the same page, speaking the same languages, using the same words, no one understanding what the other is getting at or getting to. No one's getting through, not to know one another, and everyone confused, pissing each other off while barking fake news, false prophet, false hope, lost transmission. It's all what it has been. We need the floodgates blown wide open again. Wake everybody up from this solitary sleep, selfish dreams, I mean. What as a people have boarded, we as a people have boarded the Titanic for a second time, second coming. We've come undone in what we haven't learned and what we needed to learn. Tensions mounting, the rich saved, the poor sacrificed, the orchestra stayed, floating icicle tumbleweeds in the great vast ocean of despair, sinking deeper and deeper and deeper into the violent cold of our downtrodden society. We are ready for the big miracle. That's where we're at. There ain't no savior to save us. Hey, where you at, Jack? Thank you very much.
Thanks to the Beat Poetry Foundation for allowing me to read today with so many incredible writers for Jack Kerouac's 100th birthday. I'm Mimi Gurman and I'm in Portland, Oregon. I have a poem to share that I wrote while I was thinking about Jack while I was on a little road trip a few months ago. It's called A Scenic View. Poverty lines these roads where burned out burger barns edge out the sky. And sunburn RVs melt over dirt roads, where shadows of shackles obfuscate light and sheds barely resemble houses resembling sheds. Fields that once weren't floodplains now sop the cows so thick they bellow, then drown. And above the crushed spine of a porch, the sign says Doc's Tavern, where Monty's tow and stow with real antiques and dust are sold. America decays, America the beautiful, where the buzz, hum, and flash of an electric billboard with broken lights tells you that Jesus saves, where guns are for all and all are for, and the America of the mind, lack of vision wins, where blind is as blind sees. Where in the mobile home seep of this tumbleweed stew, sterilized wonder grows in the petri dish. The hills are steep and crumbling, and the elk aren't crossing anymore. The scenic view looks out to the shuttered steel mill across the river. The sunrise is a silhouetted shadow like an ode to a dirge, and the wind so strong it blows the seabirds sideways. Cars drive into the ocean, whose waves look like mud, and all that's left are dark waters and the crystal clear dream of a lollipop some politician doled out to the poor. Someone smashed the snake and left it on the trail. The mules with no name has gone off to find another sunset. Not even a rooster crows, but two chickens converse on the side of the road where a truck with a flat slowly rumbles by, where the rain's coming in from the west. The eastern sky is zipping up. Desperados stole what wood they could, and the rest of where is scattered to the salty winds. No good for no one now, where it's cold, and here comes the rain. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ron Myers in San Francisco. Thank you for having me here for Jack Kerouac's centennial. Kind of a surprise to me. So I'll get right to it. I have 3 poems that I think I can do in the time allotted. The first one's called Modernism. to dare to not be beautiful to the eye or ear, to confound polite society's stale conventions, to scandalize suffocating cultural values, to blast away false neurotic mythologies, to storm the ivy barricades of the academies and to pull back the curtains on prosceniums to reveal scarred metal scaffoldings of a clumsy deus ex machina, to save the orderly day from chaotic night, while fawns of Pan gamble in flowery meadows on flat scrims of trompe l'oeil, like Icarus, to take flight from outcrops of vertigo limestone. This is called Reading Greek Poetry. Reading Greek poetry on the passing of the Beat Generation, and like Lawrence did for Allen, reading Greek poetry in airy amphitheaters where actors and the audience become one. The moon rises, the chorus awakes, the monad forsakes its solitary ways, pouring through codex and scrolls of tragic plays, panegyrics and dithyrambs, the setting of the thespian sun, to find the right words to better say what can't be said in fading odes and elegies from the golden age before the pages turn to dust. This is called Endnote, and this was scribbled in the end pages of Poems All Sizes. No, nothing's ever as good as it used to be in my amnesiac mind, made up that way to ease the pain of loving extinct gods, plants, animals, first mind, best thoughts, foundling forever lost in this slipstream, symposia dive, all is lost, lost, only to be found again. Awake on the other side of death is a dream, Taijin Zenshin Lipo. I'll throw one more in. Busted again. I need to work on that. I was even born late after 48 hours of labor. Must have been torturous, but I couldn't be there. Had a double booking. Can this sense of claustrophobic entrapment ripple through a life like the transparent bars of an Orphic prison? I didn't do it, copper. I was only standing there strumming my lyre. Even my cat had to nudge my temple with her plushy, fiery forehead, poor bewinged kitty, as if to say, hey, wake up, you're late for your own dream. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Daniel McTaggart. I'm here in Morgantown, West Virginia, where we have about 4 or 5 inches of snow. So here's my poem called Flashcard 5. Flashcard 5 plus 5. The answer is 2 5s. Why should either 5 give up individuality? Both 5s, while the same amount, have distinct qualities that made them the best choices for this equation. One 5 has 5 corners. The other 5 has 5 sides. Screw all the other 5s with their new age swerves and curves. It's not art to look like an 8 when you're a 5. It's deception and filthy plagiarism. And the term plus is pejorative. It should be 5 and 5, not plus. As if one 5 needs legitimizing by the other. Whatever happened to 5 pride, 5 power, 5 forever? What's the use of being 10 if you lose your 5ness? Ever forget where you're from? My 4th grade math teacher stood exasperated. Her certification never covered the philosophy of a 10-year-old, sorry, a 5 and 5-year-old. She was never meant to tackle such issues. Dressed in a long pleated skirt, frumpy cardigan sweater, hair bummed up above, horn-rimmed glasses, and hey, how about them ankles? Nothing could have prepared her for the inevitability of a student who was smart and smart-assed, because it didn't stop there. I organized a protest for recess, using up the classroom supply of construction paper for signs with progressive phrases like 5 is alive and stop systematic addition, subtraction is murder, and all the kids marching and chanting in circles around the monkey bars. Some kids even ran up to others not participating and splashed them with buckets full of cut-up multiplication tables. My teacher was like, damn, what did math ever do to you? It exists, is my answer. Algebra makes absolutely no sense. My parents had never used it. so luckily neither will I. Besides, I don't believe numbers and letters should mix. If they were able to multiply together, the resultant offspring would be eternally searching for the value of Y. I just can't see myself putting that kind of pressure on future generations. My teacher asked me if I did my homework. No, I said with a clear conscience. Then I have to give you an F for today, she said. So I said, can I get a photostat of your handwritten F? I want to silkscreen it on t-shirts. Everyone will wear them in solidarity, creating a sense of numerical unity in future protests. Thank you.
My name is Mike Kilday from Connecticut. This poem is about something that was near and dear to Jack's heart, Buddhism. It's called Consider the Rain. Consider the rain. It cleanses, it drowns, never questioning where it falls and why it's falling down. Whether hot or cold, its course is always bold, never wondering where to flow. Whether it's a trickle or a torrent, it doesn't have to be told. The waters of life are nourishment, precise, process-driven, deliberate, beyond reproach rather than desired. Such clarity is to be envied, a sense of purpose to be admired, not becoming anything, just being. The waters of life instill singularity, and in their absence is taken away. Consciousness sets the stage. Choice arrays the scenery. Perception may be reality, but universal law reveals the truth about what one sees and hears and touches and feels. Infinite intelligence occupies every living cell, and life endures until the end of time itself. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Donna Allard, International Beat Poet Laureate 2019 to 2020, in celebration of the 100th anniversary of Jack Kerouac. You, Jack, are easy to find. You are easy to find in your late years, walking miles of sidewalks to the Flamingo. Jack Kerouac haunting the Haslams, book falling, bam! Yearly bikers cruise, have a beer in your name, and then on to your next haunt. You are easy to find in 2022. Someone wearing a black t-shirt under countless stars, a calligraphy of your name. Beats, nowhere, somewhere, everywhere. My bones pine to follow their naked path. To be unknotted, enterprising, and unafraid. A towering tamarack or rutting moose, an airy shrub. New worlds sprung from ecstatic revelries, aged beyond any primordial wood or glade. Here's to you, Jack.
Got that part right.
Thank you, National Bee Poetry Foundation team. You are changing lives by the hundreds. You are listening to us poets. You are there for us as a family. The Beats would be proud. Thank you again. Namaste.
Hello, my name is Sandi Horton, and I am from Waco, Texas, and I'm so happy to be celebrating Jack Kerouac's birthday today. I have a couple of original compositions to play for the birthday for him on a Native American flutes. The first movement that I've composed for him is to accentuate his mystic spiritual side of him, and then when that is over, it's about 1 minute long. Put it down, I'll get another little native flute. These are made by a guy here in Dallas. And then I'll play a happy little dance that I think that he would like, because his personality was so exuberant and he was so joyful. And so instead of using words, I'm going to use music for my poetry today. And then after I do the little dance, sometimes this little flute likes to go into something else kind of sweet. So we'll see what it does. The flutes kind of have a mind of their own. So this is to honor for the birthday today.
My name is Paul Richmond. I'm coming to you from Massachusetts, which is also, looks like we have 5 or 6 inches of snow and it's still come down pretty strong. I was lucky enough to be named Beat Poets Laureate of Massachusetts and then given the US Laureate. And I was glad to hear a bunch of people said that they wrote some poems today or last night, and that's what I did. This is called Jack Kerouac 100. Jack Kerouac was born March 12, 1922. The Russian Revolution against the ruling class had started in 1917, and by 1922, the Bolsheviks won the Russian Civil War. Tsar Nicholas II was murdered along with his family. The royals were forced to flee the country, the workers fighting for worker rights. The workers of Lowell, the French-Canadian workers trying to survive and have families, one of them had a baby boy named Jack Kerouac in 1922. 29 years later, I was born after the World War, the 1950s. Kerouac completed On the Road in April 1951. October 1951, I arrived on Earth. There is hope in the air. The war is over. We are told we won. The American dream is cranked out. Everything is supposed to be like in the movies. And the artists of the time play their instruments in ways no one thought of before. The beats let us know everyone is a poet. They spoke out, told real stories, struggled not to be stamped out of a mold, while the culture influencers created the mold for being beat. This group of poet writers who influenced each other, each of them influencing those of us who were listening. The first time I tried to read On the Road, I couldn't do it. Years later, I read it in one day. I had heard and met Ginsberg, read all of Burroughs. On meeting Burroughs, I didn't even know what to say to him. Starting writing myself 100 years later, Russian is ruling by a czar again. a ruling class who has now started another war. Kerouac is long gone, died in October 1969. August of 1969, I was at Woodstock, fighting against another war, writing and reading more, meeting other beats, joining artists, political activists. Of the time, 53 years later, celebrating with writers who see themselves carrying on a tradition, being called the new beats, as we all try to be ourselves, knowing the power of words, knowing that without everyone knowing what they're feeling, knowing how to use their voice, using their voice, their words, encouraging others, creating the gatherings so that everyone can be heard. Without them, there is no chance of freedom. Keeping our voices alive, we celebrate Jack Kerouac, who went on the road, was a pioneer, that created a movement that is still alive.
I will recite a poem of Jack Kerouac, of course, that resonates a lot on what I think. I must do as you do. Πρέπει να πράττω αυτό που πράτετε. Your way, I own, is a very good way. Ο τρόπος σας είναι πολύ καλός. And still, there are sometimes two straight roads to a town. One over, one under the hill. Και παρόλα αυτά υπάρχουν πολλές φορές δύο δρόμοι για να πας στην πόλη. Ένας πάνω από τον λόφο και ένας από κάτω. You are treading the safe and the well-worn way that the prudent choose each time. Περπατάς στον καλό δρόμο. Αυτό που ο φρόνιμος πάντοτε πάει. And you think, me, reckless and rash today, because I prefer to climb. Και με θεωρείς αδιάφορο και χαζό, γιατί προτιμώ να χοροπηδάω. Your path is the right one, and so is mine. You are not like peas in a pod, compelled to lie in a certain line, or else be scattered abroad. Ο δικός ο δρόμος είναι το ίδιο καλό σαν το δικό μου. Δεν είμαστε φασολάκια στη σειρά. Να μην τολμούμε να πάμε παραέξω γιατί θα πέσουμε από τον κάλικά μας. To wear a dull old world, methinks, my friend. Θα ήταν πολύ βαρετός ο κόσμος, φίλε μου, πιστεύω. If we all went just one way. Εάν όλοι πηγαίναμε στον ίδιο δρόμο. Yet our paths will meet, no doubt, at the end. Though they lead apart today. Κι όμως, τα μονοπάτια μας θα συναντηθούν στο τέλος, παρότι σήμερα χωριστά πάνε. You like the shade, and I like the sun. You like an even pace. I like them to mix with the crowd and run, and then rest after the race. Σ' αρέσει σκιά και μ' αρέσει λιακάδα. Σ' αρέσει η ησυχία και εμένα μ' αρέσει να ανακατεύομαι στον κόσμο και να τρέχω και ύστερα να ησυχάζω μετά την κούρσα. I like danger and storm and strife. You like a peaceful time. Μ' αρέσει ο κίνδυνος, η καταιγίδα, η αναταραχή, το κύμα. Και σένα σ' αρέσει ο ήσυχος χρόνος. Μ' αρέσει το πάθος. I like the passion and surge of life και το κύμα της ζωής. You like its gentle rhyme. Σου αρέσει ο απαλός της, η απαλή της ομοιοκαταληξία, η απαλή της ρήμα. You like buttercups, dewy sweets, and crocuses framed in snow. Σ' αρέσουν στο χιονάκι τα λευκά λουλουδάκια. I like roses, born of the heat, and the red carnations glow. Μ' αρέσουν τα τριαντάφυλλα που γεννιούνται στη ζέση και τα κόκκινα γαρούφαλα που λάμπουν. I must live my life, not yours, my friend. Πρέπει να ζήσω τη ζωή μου, όχι τη δική σου, φίλε μου. For so it was written down. We must follow our given paths to the end. But I trust we shall meet in town. Πρέπει να ζήσουμε. Να ζήσω τη ζωή μου, φίλε μου, όχι τη δική σου. Έτσι ήταν γραφτό. Πρέπει να ακολουθήσουμε τα δικά μας μονοπάτια μέχρι το τέλος. Αλλά εμπιστέψουμε. Θα συναντηθούμε κάποτε στην πόλη μας. Σε εκείνη την πόλη. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone who came today to celebrate with us on Jack Kerouac's 100th birthday celebration. And I want you all to know that I hope 100 years from now, someone celebrates us as well. Because I know that Jack, wherever he is, he did not expect anyone to remember him. And I just want you to know that all of you are very special to me, keeping on this tradition going forward. Thank you all.